ready, and so I'm recording, and you're good to go.
Okay, so if you could share and describe what is the essence and the heart of the preschool program, what would it be? In a couple sentences.
I see it as relationships with children and families as being unique and individual.
I think the mutual respect, when families walk through the gate, they know that they're at a place that is respectful of who they are, the uniqueness of their family, the diversity of their family.
Does that essence spread among the staff as well?
I think it spreads among the staff's relationship to the families and among the staff's relationships with one another.
Well, you have a very large staff. Can you talk a little bit about how you start to build that kind of essence into the core of how the staff functions as directors?
We encourage the staff to build on their interest and the classroom interests that they have from each children so that they are inspired with what they do in the classrooms.
So to pick up on what Melissa said, I think the staff is encouraged to be who they are and respected for who they are. And it's been said that we each bring a unique piece to this big puzzle. And so the largeness of the staff is not meant to be that we strive to look like one another, but we strive to blend with one another and to work side by side and collaborate.
Okay, and just as a side note, when you're looking and thinking and you're going up like this with your eyes, instead look at the camera
Okay.
to think and then come back to me. I think that'll be better, won't it, for the shots?
Very good.
Okay, so so take a moment and remember the process of change that occurred from when you first had your program and moved into what we would call inclusive program, as you have it now. And can you share a bit about the time and effort that it took to make that transition?
I suppose that would be me.
Well, I'm trying to process that one. I'm thinking when that all happened.
You know, when that very first happened, it was a very natural, organic happening. It happened because a family within this neighborhood and community wanted to be part of this preschool. And they approached us, and the family was willing to walk with us on it. So there was a lot of communication, a lot of meetings, a lot of spending time with one another, really searching. There was a lot of self-doubt. Can we do this? Can I do this? Am I up to it? But there was also a unifying time of when we all came together and saw a shared vision. It wasn't without fear. It wasn't without doubts. It wasn't without risk. All of those things were there, but what bonded us together was that shared vision that whoever walks through our gates, whoever comes to our program, we need to make sure our classrooms are ready for them. And that shared vision just grew over time, grew over the years to where we are today.
And how did you get the staff to kind of join that effort?
I think it was a process.
Yeah, the first time when we met, I asked, if you feel ready for this, if this is something you feel like you want to be part of, just come talk to me. And at that time, I think we had about 15 teachers in the room, and one teacher came forth and later that day and said, I think I'd like to give it a try. And that's all we needed was one teacher. Through that one teacher and that classroom that then she had partners with her, the assisting teachers in those classrooms, others began to gain confidence just even by watching and seeing the support she had, seeing how we worked together, seeing how the family worked with the teachers. And then it became more collaborative where more and more teachers began to build that confidence that they could do it. And I think one of the most important areas, and I've thought a lot about this, is that the staff was able to voice their concern. They were able to share their fears. It was an okay environment to be completely honest and for us to learn from our fears as well as build on our strengths.
So have you had to make any kind of environmental adaptations to accommodate the children? Or did the program, in terms of its environment, pretty much stay the same?
I think there's subtle changes that you make each year when that happens. You know, when we have a child that may have a wheelchair, then we would look at the environment, which classroom would be the best. But I think it's been subtle. It's not, It's just each year looking at the needs that would happen.
So it's not really thinking about a structured plan and implementing it like that. It really comes from the source of who the child is. Is that how you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's looking at that individual child's needs and see what we need to do in the classroom to accommodate those individual needs. We do look at the big picture in that we've looked at our playground to try to create areas of easy access. The whole entire playground is not accessible, but we try to be sure there's areas and we can bring things in that accommodate and allow children to fully participate.
What about funding to provide the extra support for staff, for any kind of adaptive equipment? Where does that funding source come from? Because I think that will be a limitation for a lot of programs. They're thinking in their minds. So what are some of the ways that you've addressed that?
I can do that one. So we do fundraising. One of our biggest events is Women's Night, and it brings in quite a large sum of money for our includes staff, extra staff in our classrooms, and so we collect donations to the community, and they do opportunity drawings and things like that. And so it's about 800 women that we target. And if you want to say it better than I can.
I think what happens that night is pretty amazing, and it's something that we learned. We didn't plan. It came, is we share their stories. Parents share their stories, and it may be their story of a child. They have a child who is said to be typically developing, and their child has been in a classroom with a child who uses sign to speak, and their child has wanted to learn sign language. Or it could be what it meant to a family, a child who has had challenges these first years of life, and all of a sudden they get invited to a birthday party, and they realize they are really part of a community. And when they share that, everybody begins to realize the importance.
What about relationships with other organizations? You have a very close relationship with the HOPE program. Mm-hmm. Can you describe how that started and also
That's you.
how that developed into something, a formalized agreement?
Yes, I absolutely can. Probably close to 20 years ago, one of the HOPE teachers, Melinda Ashley, was helping a family transition from their 2-year-old program to a preschool program, and so she was touring preschools with this family, and she came to our preschool, and we just engaged in conversation. The family engaged with us, and it began the relationship. Melinda found what I would say is open hearts and a desire to serve children and families in a respectful manner in this program, and she wanted to pursue a relationship, and we just continued over the years informally for many, many years, where she would bring families. She would help us to know how to serve that family well within our environment, and then slowly it emerged to where she would come as a consultant with families, and eventually we now co-teach with the HOPE program in a more formalized agreement.
Do you feel like you could have come this far without that relationship with an outside community organization to provide extra support?
I do not. I feel like to be an inclusive program, you have to join hands and partner with the community resources that are there.
In terms of, there are many legal requirements for children and parents' rights. Is that articulated to the staff in any way in terms of the information that you share with them, or does it all fit in with a larger frame of what you do with children and families?
I think it just all fits in with our parents' rights and personal rights that the children have.
Okay, and then how do you support staff so that they move past, I know you said it's a process. It started out with one teacher and then it's grown as people see and gain more confidence, but do you do something in particular as the directors, as leaders of the program to help support the staff?
I would say the first thing that, for myself, that I did as a director is listen, because that was really important for them to know they had someone who could hear them without judgment, and then help move past that by asking open-ended questions or trying to find those solutions. But along with that is just some real tangible things like providing support, whether it be additional staff in the classroom or resources within the community that can be brought in to help the teachers better understand. For myself or one of the other administrators to go in and observe, or allow the teachers time to step back, for us to go in and teach and allow them to step back and observe so that they can see the dynamics of their class. So it's really listening to what their need is and then matching it with a resource.
Okay. If you had to pick a story about a family or a child, about their experience here at the preschool program, can you think about that and share a story that really meant something to you?
I can. So we had a little guy that I think he was 3 when he started here, and then he was going to be in my 4-year-old class. And Patty had me get to know him as a 3-year-old, come in and assist in the classroom, just to kind of see. So he was struggling with anxiety, and he hadn't really been fully diagnosed with anything yet, but you could tell he was having some fears. And for me personally, that helped because I can struggle with anxiety or fear, so I could relate to him a little bit. So he and I went through the journey together, and just watching him be successful, and by the end of the 4-year-old program, having friends to be able to put their arms around it was pretty great. So.
You know, there are just so many stories, but one that comes to mind right now is a little guy named Patrick who had Down syndrome, and his motor skills were challenged for him, and he would work his way around the playground in so many different ways. But one day he went up the stairs with assistance to a little playhouse in the play area. And he wanted to get down, and the assistance wasn't there right then. And he went down the stairs by himself. And all the children, and just spontaneously stopped and cheered him on. And that was just a moment for me that I'll never forget.
Can you, just playing off that a little bit, can you share what you feel is the impact for the families who have children who are typically developing, to have this environment and interaction with children with special needs?
I think the first thing is we hear over and over again words that we're more similar than different and those kinds of things, but until you experience it, I'm not sure you believe it. And these families experience that, you know, there'll be a mom with a little person, maybe with Down syndrome, and the mom who typically developing child, and they'll be struggling about, do you sleep at night? Do you sleep at night? How many times did they? And they realize they're walking this struggle together in so many ways. So I think that's important. Honestly, I think that children learn compassion, they learn empathy, they learn respect. They learn respect for diversity and the uniqueness of individuals when their community brings those factors in.
Okay, great. We're going to stop. It would be great if you could also join the